Sairam, do you want to start?
So you start with the prayer.
Yeah.
Please do. Please do.
Oh, we should. Okay. We place ourselves lovingly at the feet of our Lord, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, and pray that you may speak through us, think through us, work through us, love through us, be through us in everything and all the answers today to all the questions of our devotees. Our dear Swami, all your devotees, Swami, you give the answers. Place ourselves lovingly at thy feet. Sairam.
Sairam. We have about 260 people in a Google group, out of which I'm pretty sure almost everybody, they're trying to practice the sadhana of meditation every single day. And we have an Excel sheet full of people logging in, how many minutes they did. It's amazing to see and how wonderfully this came together, and what sparked is your guided session that we had during the conference. So we wanted to keep that motivation going, and keep answering questions from people, so that that would help them continue their journey in this sadhana. So the first question that we wanted to ask, you did say during even our training period, you said meditation is like a journey, and which is highly dependent on each individual. So, what recommendations do you have to get started on this journey at an early age? And there is also a little bit of a follow up. And what about the people who feel a little uncomfortable in the beginning? What advice do you have for them?
Beautiful. Thank you very, very much for these questions. But most of all, thank you for doing the sadhana as a group, 200 plus people. That's amazing. That's just fantastic. That's just Swami's love, guiding and guarding and motivating. So, as far as the journey is not easy, why is the journey not easy? Because it's the journey through the subconscious, unconscious mind from the lower self and all the desires and attachments and the ego self, through that to the higher self, the God self within each of us. So the journey is like going through a jungle. Now, to go through a jungle, you absolutely need a guide. You can't do it yourself. It's not possible. But Swami is our guide. Within each person, God exists. Swami says the only guru is God. And Swami guides and protects and promised to guide and protect all of us in our sadhana that are devotees. And we are all devotees. This idea that only Swami can call you a devotee, yes, if you have that opportunity to meet Swami physically at Prema Sai Baba time, yes, he'll call you a devotee if you're really devoted. But that's not the only criteria of a devotee. What the criteria of a devotee is a dedication to live the teachings that Swami has described and lived, and to search within us for those truths, that love, those teachings, and try. That's all. Swami doesn't say you have to succeed at this. He only says, you try, I'll do the rest. And that's the important part of it. So, yes, it's difficult. Now, as far as persistence is concerned and perseverance, it requires patience. So, no matter where you are in your mind, I don't care if your mind is a monkey mind, like Swami described mine when I first met him, and many others. And he said, continue. He didn't say stop. You have a monkey mind, stop. So often people say, I can't sit, it's impossible, I can't do it. do more seva. Selfless service results in calming the mind. It actually attracts Swami's grace so that you can sit and be the witness of your desires, your attachments, your thoughts, your feelings, your bodily actions, functions, the mind, whatever it may do. Persevere. It doesn't matter if you only say so, and then the mind's off and running into, Never Never Land or Disneyland or, Fantasyland or Castles in the Sky Land, which Swami says we build castles upon castles in the sky. It doesn't matter. You said so, and then you mind went off. Okay. So was a call. It's a clarion call to God. I'm sitting, help me. I'm sitting, I'm going to sit. And when you sit, you decide beforehand, I'm going to sit for 20 minutes, or I'm going to sit for 25 minutes, or I'm going to sit for 30 minutes. But once you decide, you do not get up. That's tapas. That's willpower. That the builds in you, the shakti, ikta shakti builds in you. It's willpower to just sit no matter what. And when we sit, we shouldn't sit like, I got an itch, I got this. Swami made fun of us in the beginning because we would sit under a tree or we'd sit outside in the morning or we would sit in our chairs or whatever it may be in our rooms. And we would be scratching like this mosquito, that fly, this, he'd make fun of us. He'd say, what kind of meditation is that? Go beyond the body. The body can be let go of pretty easily. At first, it's difficult, but sooner or later, concentration leads to contemplation. Then contemplation is beyond the body, beyond the senses, and meditation is beyond the mind. So first we go beyond the senses, then we go beyond the mind. So first is concentration. Build concentration gently. Remember, return to the point of focus gently, easily, effortlessly, without criticism or judgment or impatience with the mind. You want to
For young people,
add?
I believe Swami said that about a minute for each year, so
That's a
they don't have to do as long as grown-ups, and it's really a surrender to Swami to guide and to help us feel him, there and feel the peace that comes with the meditation. It's once the peace comes, then you look forward to meditating, and so it's really up to Swami.
So for the first 4 years that I meditated,
Excuse me.
I fell asleep every single meditation. 4 years, every meditation, I just fell asleep. And then I'd wake up in the meditation, I'd meditate for another 5, 10 minutes. Sometimes I'd fall asleep 2 or 3 times in a meditation, but I always finished with 5 minutes at least of meditating. What's the length of time that's ideal for meditation? Well, actually, Swami said if you can sit for 23 minutes, the mind will automatically calm down. Might not stop, but it'll calm down enough to feel your inner self, your presence, your conscience, your consciousness. So, Swami's inside of us as our conscience. Our conscience is Swami's voice. Listen to it. The way to follow Swami inside is when you hear Swami say, or your conscience say, don't do that. Well, we have a choice. We can do it or not do it. Swami says you have a choice. Go to materiality or spirituality. That's that conscience. We choose one or the other. And if we go toward disobeying that voice in materiality, which we often do, that's life's path, that's human being life, then we'll kind of feel, like a pinch, like, ugh, and don't ignore it. You might want to have fun, whatever the modern world wants to offer to you. If you're young, of course, you're going to fall and do things that Swami might not approve of. We've all done it. Don't condemn yourself. Don't have low self-esteem, and think, oh, I can't, I'm unworthy of this. Don't do that. Unworthiness is just the dark side of the ego. It's the sneaky part of the ego that gets in there and says, oh, you can't do this, you're unworthy. Well, really? Well, everyone's God, period, end of story. So, and you still are God. It's never gone. Find it. And if we do the right thing in our conscience, we follow our conscience so that God through our conscience be our guide and our guru, that's Swami, then we feel an expansive thing. We go, oh, that feels wonderful, you know? And that's how you can tell whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. It's automatic. Don't ignore it.
That's amazing. Thank you. I really like the way you connect it very practically to say that it is okay to, get discouraged when you're not able to sit and focus, but keep going. And that perseverance, I think, is the biggest thing with meditation. That's really great advice. Thank you.
Well,
Um,
I'll add to that one more thing.
sure, sure. Please do.
Said 23 minutes, the mind will start calming down. That's, the dharanas, the dharanas leading to 11 seconds, and then they add up to 12 dharanas makes for a samadhi, 12 samadhis makes for, something like that. I have to read it again to get these exact words. But 30 minutes is ideal. Swami says meditate 30 minutes twice a day if you can, because after 23 minutes, you're deep in. Your neurophysiology is in deeper than deep sleep. You're in theta. Now, to sit for another 7 minutes in theta is extremely valuable sadhana. And that's why Swami says 30 minutes is ideal. Sometimes I sit for an hour because I just don't like coming out of that, just nice. So,
Uh,
but 30 minutes, 23 minutes is the start of it, and then 30 minutes to expand to it when it feels comfortable, if you can.
Excellent. Excellent. The next question is, how do you determine what type of meditation is best for you? And when do you recommend doing it? Like which time of the day is best suited?
You want to take this one?
Um, Swami says, three to 3 a.m. If you could do it. Some people wake up as you get older. You wake up around that time, and then you can go back to sleep. Or I think ideally any time before 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's not. And doing it at the same time every day is very helpful. But as far as when if you can only do it at odd times of the day, it's still better than nothing. So if you get too caught up in doing it exactly right, then you get discouraged and you give it up. That's not a good thing. If you can do it in the most sattvic way, then that's great. That's in the time when it's very quiet, very peaceful. There's no one thinking. When the air is very still,
Mm,
that's the easiest. And when you wake up, from sleeping, that's the easiest time to actually go into a meditative state. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it any other time. And it's good to do it at the same time,
consistent.
because it's sort of like you're keeping an appointment with God, and even though God's with you every second, it's still, there's some extra special thing that really exists when you're regular about it. And um the
Which type of
which type is
would you recommend for, like, I know
any
there are a variety of meditations. We did the Soham, we did the light meditation, there is thumb meditation. So which do you think is
Meditation
good
is
for?
that's not meditation. So
it's concentration.
that's concentration. You're looking at your thumb. When Swami introduced it in the '80s, all the students were walking around like this. Funny.
That's preparation for learning to meditate. It's good
Right.
to do.
Dharana, and the candle flame is even better for dharana than your thumb. And you could just stare at it because the candle flame sort of absorbs your mind. We've been watching fire for millions of years, and it has its effect in that particular way. It absorbs your mind. Now, Roseanne pointed out 3 a.m. to 8 a.m., 6 a.m. Swami says, but if you wake up in the middle of the night, I wake up in the middle of the night, I sit up in bed and I meditate. I don't have to go to my puja room to meditate at 3 a.m. If you can, if you want to, that's great. but more or less, I fall asleep after 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. I go back to sleep. And Swami said that's perfectly fine to do, so long as you get it in. Why 3 a.m.? Because it's the Brahma Muhurta, when the ozone and the oxygen replenishes the atmosphere, and it's so quiet. No bodies, everybody's asleep. There's no thoughts, extraneous thoughts, and the world's kind of calm. And if you can't meditate between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. or 8 a.m., any time is okay, as long as you meditate. Doesn't matter. I meditate whenever I can, throughout the day, night. It doesn't matter. And Swami says eventually, and Dr. Hislop used to do this eventually at the end of his life. He said meditation is 24/7. And so Dr. Hislop, who was an ace meditator, meditated for decades. At the end of his life, I spoke with him and he said, yes, I don't meditate sitting anymore with my eyes closed. It's 24/7 now. Of course, we know what happened to Dr. Hislop. He became Prema Sai Baba's father, according to Swami.
That's right.
Story, of course, is his mother, according to Swami.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think, do you think that when you keep meditate, I know you've been practicing meditation for many years now. How do you think you feel, or your relationship with Swami, as well as the relationships with people around you? How do you think it has changed or evolved? Do you do you think you can share about that?
Well, I can't lie in front of my wife. This is not possible. No, I'll tell the truth. We all struggle with our human side, our dark side, our angry side, our jealous side, our this side, our that side, with all the seven deadly sins and all that stuff. And Swami says, purify, purify, purify. He says, follow the master, face the devil, uh,
Finish the game.
the game, a fight to the end,
Fight to the end and finish the game. Yeah.
the four F's we call it. And the fact is that goes on. And as long as we're in our mind at all, we'll be playing that game. We'll be struggling with those seven deadly sins, those seven, you know, things that hold us back spiritually, the things we have to let go of. Now, that being said, after half a century of meditating, I'm a little better than I was at the beginning.
I was expecting, but you're being too modest. Let me put it that way. Maybe we should ask Sister Roseanne about it.
Anger, Swami says the only proof of progress in meditation, and meditation is for this purpose only, to become more loving, more compassionate, more kind, more selfless. And that's what counts. Sitting in meditation you could sit in meditation for days. I know people that sat in meditations for 8, 12 hours a day for years. They don't have that quality yet for some reason, really thoroughly. After half a century or more than me, they don't quite get it yet, that quality. So they keep doing it until that quality comes. But sitting in meditation has no value. And one of my greatest meditation teachers was Hilda Charlton. Of course, we all know about Hilda. Hilda was the first Westerner that ever, one of the first that ever visited Swami and lived there for a year in Prashanti Nilayam and was Kasturi's neighbor, and they were best friends. And then in Whitefield, lived in Swami's house with Lily, who was I think Shirdi Ma's sister. And Swami, one day, she went at 3 a.m. to sit under the tree in Prashanti, the meditation tree up at the hill. And she sat there, and Darshan came and went at 7 in the morning, and no Hilda. And when Hilda came down at 11 a.m., 8 hours later, because she had sat in meditation that whole time, Swami came up to her and she said, "Oh, Swami." And he came up and he said, "Oh, hello, Hilda. Where were you? We missed you." And she said, "Oh, Swami, I was meditating from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. And Swami looked at her and go, "What for when God's everywhere?" And walked away. That's not the value, how long you meditate. That's not the goal. Long meditations, though, if it serves the purpose, it is the sadhana. What's the goal is seeing God everywhere, being loving and kind and compassionate and selfless. And those qualities build and build and build through meditation, correct meditation.
Mm.
Because we know that Ravana meditated,
Hmm. Hmm.
and look what happened.
What happened? Yeah.
It has to be good.
So that's amazing. I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. What would be, what is the goal of meditation? I think that's precisely very rightly said. That's awesome. Did you have anything to add to that, Sister Rosen?
It's not in our um, power to really control it. It's really something that do the same thing every day, offer it to God, and God will take care of it. It's really just about peace, and about loving. When we open our eyes to be more loving.
And remember, it's God within us. God, Swami within us is the one meditating. Swami within us is the doer. We all know that. Nish kama kama, right? Swami within us is the doer. It applies to meditation as well. It applies to meditation as well. Swami is the meditator within us, and we surrender to that. We surrender to that. And when we surrender to that, we allow Swami to do as Swami would like and wants and burns through our karma to do. Nobody should say, I can't meditate, I have too much karma. That's ridiculous. Look, the greatest thief and murderer of all times was, the I forgot his name. He was a rishi. He became a rishi, but he was, remember, in the jungles of India.
Valmiki? Yes.
Yeah.
Valmiki, right? Now the saints that he was about to murder, but they didn't have anything. The yogis, for him to have, he said, "Give me everything you have." And they said, "We have nothing. What do we have? You want our loincloth? You want our little bowl for water? Or you want a stick? You can have it. Have it." And he said, "No, you give me what you have." They said, "We have only one thing to give, God." Gave them a mantra. He said, "Okay, say this all the time." So the next year they came back, and he was saying it all the time, and he had given up all those bad ways, those ways of Thomas and Rajas, and they were stunned. They were like, "Good, keep going." And he kept going and going. Now look what happened to Valmiki. Became
Mhm.
one of the greatest rishis. So no matter where you start, that is fine. The grace of God will be with you. Swami's grace will be with you when you make the effort. That's all that counts. Swami's grace will be with you. Swami's grace is always there. It's like the air around us, except that we're kind of closed to it sometimes. And so meditation opens us up to it.
That's amazing. Do you have any advice how to be consistent with meditation? Like what has worked for you to do it, over and over again, as you said, on a certain time or in a certain way? How do you almost it should come naturally, right? I have to sit and do this every single day. How do you get that consistency?
Well, Roseanne's much more compassionate about this than me, so I'll let her go first.
Sure.
When I first started meditating, Swami just set it up. I was in my second year of college or something, and my roommate moved out, and I sat down one morning. I was bummed out, and I had a really wonderful experience and felt wonderful after. And it happened to be at 6:30 a.m. as the sun was coming up, and I saw the sunrise. And I just every day at 6:30 I would wake up and meditate, and it just felt completely different than anything I'd ever experienced before. And it felt so good that I just kept doing it. And I had the positive association with the dawn. So I just did it consistently, and then within a couple of years, I was in India with Sai Baba, and it was His grace. Uh, I I don't wake up at 6:30 right now because my life got a little crazier, but I sort of like after all these years, I I like I meditate every morning, and it's very consistent with that. But I don't have the same kind of need. I don't like at the beginning. I felt terrible if I didn't meditate because not out of guilt, but out of just it brought me a lot of peace, and I needed that peace. And so once you feel the peace, then it's just something that it just feels great. I think maybe what's hard for Sai Baba devotees who maybe go start later, because I was introduced to Swami a little later, maybe 6 months later. So um, it might be hard because you're used to doing bhajans and you feel great during the bhajans, or if you've had darshan, which is just a spectacular thing, and it might seem like a anticlimax to start meditating later. So I don't know personally that path, but I promise you that if Swami wants you to meditate, he will make it work.
That's that's a good way.
We brush our teeth every day.
Yeah.
We take a shower, hopefully once every 2 days, maybe once every day, depends. We eat every day.
Mhm.
So it's a matter of the, desire, determination to say, okay, I'm going to carve out 30 minutes once or twice a day. I do 30 minutes when I wake up in the morning. I do 30 minutes when I go to sleep at night. If I don't fall asleep while doing it, which is often the case, I make sure that I have my 2 periods of meditation. Sometimes it goes an hour. It's up to Swami. Um, you know, but I carved that out when I was in college, when I first learned how to meditate, my first year of college at the end of the year. And it served me well to do it twice a day and make sure I did it. I mean, it really helped. Um, I don't know how to say it other than I became a better student. Um, I became a better taxi driver in between undergraduate and graduate. I was one of the best. I got the biggest amount on the night shift in Manhattan. I just became better at everything I was doing just because awareness was increasing and energy was increasing and my mental capacity was increasing. And that doesn't, when we're older and we meditate, like if we're 60 and over, which is the usual time when sadhu and sannyas comes, then people really get serious about meditation. Don't worry about the brain function. Doesn't matter. It's actually, meditation is not about brain function. It's about soul function. And soul function, even if brain function diminishes, soul function increases. And meditation is food for the soul. It's communion with God. They say prayer is pleading with God, speaking to God, and meditation is listening to God within.
Wow, that's the first time that's a very nice way to put it. Where you're when you're meditating, you're actually hearing God. That's amazing. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. Thank you for saying that. We did talk a little bit about Sister Roseanne was saying when we sing bhajans, or there were other people who were saying I like to write likita jabam, like I like to write Om Shri Sai Ram every day. And can that be considered as meditation? Where is meditation different from mindfulness and concentration? I think that's what they were trying to ask.
Okay.
You go.
Okay. So Lakita Japam, which is writing Om Shri Sai Ram as many times as you like, that's sadhana, but it's not meditation. It's an action of imprinting upon the mind because you're thinking Om Shri Sai Ram when you write it, and you're writing with your hands. So you're using two functions, physical and mental, and maybe even emotional because you feel, oh, this is beautiful. I love this. So then that's imprinting upon the mind the mantra. And maybe that because of that, some people in their sleep say the mantra. While they're sleeping, they'll be saying the mantra, or dreaming, they'll say the mantra because it's imprinting upon your conscious mind and unconscious mind, which is very good. But it's not meditating. Meditating itself is going beyond the mind. And the way that that can happen usually is with eyes closed. Some people in dharana will just disappear. If ever you've done anything physical and it was because of the repetition of the act, or maybe you were sitting relaxing and doing it, and you disappeared, you like disappeared for a moment, or maybe minutes, hopefully not hours, but that is meditation. When you just don't have an awareness that there's a individual self there, but you're aware, but you're not aware of an individual self. That's meditation, the state of meditation, going beyond the mind. Now, how do you can create that? First, concentration in a meditative way. Then that leads to concentration is focusing on the breath, or even vipassana. Vipassana is just focusing on the breath, but it's not being boosted by a mantra. So Vipassana, or what do they call it now? They call it
Mindfulness.
mindfulness. That's the common Western term for Vipassana. So it's a Buddhist form of meditating, and it's very good for concentrating and even letting go. And you could get into a contemplative mode. Daydreaming is a contemplative mode, and even slip beyond the daydreaming or the contemplation to transcending the mind, which Thich Nhat Hanh has done. But and his students he teaches. But the fact of the matter is, when you use a mantra, any mantra of your choosing, that mantra allows you to empower that concentration. You empower it with God energy. You know, Gayatri mantra vibrates at 100,000 times the vibration of the spoken word, just what we're talking about right now. 100,000 times. Science has proven this. So it's a very deeply empowering, inspiring mantra that builds contemplative divine energy within you. Now, Swami has said, shorten the mantra so that the mind just doesn't have to stay locked in a mantra because it's so long. Shorten the mantra. So as I meditated, I meditated on Gayatri mantra, Sai Gayatri mantra. Then I meditated on my own mantra that I chose as the name of God that I say during the day. And then now it's too long. It interferes. So I just say Om. That's it. Just that's my mantra. And that I use that feels the easiest to use. I don't think about anything. I just am in Om. And then, of course, what's the source of Om? Because that's who we really are. I am that I, Soham really means I am that I am. Om is the first sound that came out of the unmanifest and created the manifest. That was the word. Then the light came. Well, go beyond the light. Go beyond the word. Go beyond name. Go beyond form. That's who we are. Swami has said this: go beyond name, go beyond form. How you get there, the path you choose, whatever way is most comfortable for you, but stick to generally one or two types. You can try all the types and then feel what's comfortable for you. And on some days I like Jyoti meditation. On some days I like Soham. I always start with Soham because it calms the mind down. On some days I do name and form, but all of that ends up in home. All of it for me.
So you could do it. You could do a combination, even for beginners, or do you think?
So Jyoti meditation is a little more advanced. So it takes a lot of mental concentration to do Jyoti meditation. So I always suggest if you want to, if you're a beginner, start
Mm,
with Hum, or start with name and form, or
mm,
even just Om in the heart, light, Om in the mind and light, or peace, Om in peace, because peace and love, the feeling of deepening love, expanding love, deepening peace, It's the same as the light. Some people are visualizers, so it's easier to see light. Some people aren't.
Right.
Some people hear better, so they hear the Om. Everybody functions through one major sense that's more stronger than the other ones. So pick your sense, follow it. Now, if your sense is smell or taste, you're going to have a tough time with meditation.
True, true. It's awesome.
Use sense.
Yeah.
But the smell of Swami when he comes is jasmine.
Oh,
It's very nice. And also vibhuti smell.
the vibhuti smell.
If you smell that in meditation, that's Swami. Swami's presence is there.
Amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. I think that's the questions that I had. But we are really looking forward to having another session with you next week, 18th. We look forward to it, and I'm sure there are more questions coming your way during that session. But thank you for taking the time. I know you have to get to your next class also. I will let Sai Prasanna Auntie if you have anything to ask.
Sairam, thank you so much, brother. This was such a beautiful, meditative,
I know.
immersive session listening to you answer all the questions. I stopped recording. We are so blessed to have started this whole thing with the Unity Conference. So thank you so much because everyone is really into it. At least 65 people are tracking their minutes of meditation on a spreadsheet that I shared with you. But as Sister Anusha was saying, 200 plus people are interested in continuing to meditate and offer it to Swami for his birthday. So we are going to change it from 21-day meditation is just the beginning to continuing to do it for the birthday offering.
Mhm.
So we hope we can maintain this monthly once thing with you so we can revive the process of meditation with the selected group of people who are so interested in doing this and very tuned in with you.
I
So,
say one thing before ending today, and this is what Swami has told us. We are not one time devotees, none of us. That if you're attracted to Swami and you want to follow Swami's teachings, as Satya Sai Baba, it's because Swami has chosen us from tens of thousands of years of, of following the path, building to this moment. And he has said, you are my self. You, your life is my mission. My life is my mission, he said.
Message.
My message. Now, when at the end of his life, he said, your life is my message. And what is Swami's mission? To uphold Dharma, to protect the Vedas and foster the Vedas, the Sanatana Dharma, which is the truth and the five values, to live them, to be as selfless as possible and love all and serve all, help ever, hurt never, and to establish, as Swami said, the golden age of God on earth, which he said, no matter what, it will happen. When I will something, it will occur, no matter what. And we are lucky enough to be aware of Swami, his teachings, and be able to live his teachings, if we so choose, to the best of our ability. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make the effort. Swami will do the best. As a matter of fact, I'm a pretty imperfect devotee of form. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes over this last half century, and Swami never gave up on me. And so here we are today. Whatever this is, this is. And it's Swami's grace for whatever it is. And Swami's grace is sustaining all of us. He loves us beyond compare. He is the love within us. Share it. Let it come. Don't ever think I am unworthy of this. Build your self esteem, your self confidence. Build that and let it build because it's God within you that is the doer, nothing else. And so if you let that happen, you become Swami's light bearers on earth, Swamis, harbingers of the new age of God on earth. Then you're Swami's feet and arms and hands in this world, especially right now. Never give up. And whatever you can do to intensify your sadhana and deepen your sadhana, do that without delay, please. The
Uh,
world needs us all now more than ever.
Thank you. Thank you. That is
Thank you, brother. Thank you, sister. This has been wonderful. So we'll share this with the rest of the group. They are going to get inspired and they will do. These are nice words to finish our recording today because this is going to intensify our vigor to practice the entire group. And we pray to Swami to continue to do that with increased willpower, persistence, and discipline. Thank you so much. I'll
Thank
stop recording now.